All right, everyone, welcome. Bienvenidos, clase de español. So we're going to be having a Spanish class, and pretty much the goal of this class is whatever you want it to be, which is a very interesting goal for a teacher because we usually have to have very straight up goals. But I'm going to try to make this class as useful as possible. That's why the goal becomes pretty much where you want it to be. So for some of you, your goal may be to speak more Spanish and understand better, and that's one area. Some of you may want to be able to write and read better in Spanish. We're going to address a little of everything. However, when it comes to the homework and the assignments that you'll be doing, that will kind of be on you. For those of you, I will kind of go over, and we're recording this video, so later on, if you forget, or just jot it down so you don't forget. One thing that you need to make sure you do prior to every class is that you read and review the chapter that we're going to be discussing. Make sure you read the directions prior to doing the exercises. Also, complete the exercises exactly the way they're shown in the book. If you know of a shortcut, whatever that means, just make sure you do it exactly how they're telling you to do it, because there's a reason why they're telling you to do it in that manner. Also, then after that, make sure you review your answers, and then you could put away books to get your answers for me to correct them. You can just take a picture, send them to me through WhatsApp, and I can check your answers in that manner. Or if you just want to record yourself saying the answers, that is also fine and dandy. I am speaking a lot of English for now, but the idea is that I'm going to be speaking a whole lot more Spanish during the class, and you are not going to understand everything that I say. That's fine. But you're going to, as time goes, you're going to be able to notice a lot of repetitive things. And those repetitive things are going to come to you really, really easy. We did discuss the idea that we would like to get a list of sayings and phrases that maybe you need for yourself. We're going to kind of just like put them together, and we'll be able to use that as a starting point for everybody. We're going to be using a few different books. One is we're going to use the workbook, which is the Hola version, and the book, which is the Hola book. And we're also going to be adding this Spanish 10 minutes a day book. I actually downloaded them and I scanned them. And we're going to see how that works. And you guys let me know if you like this. When I say repitan with an N at the end, that means repeat. And you're going to say things exactly the way I am saying it. I have a screen on my right side, and I have Zoom open on the left screen. If you can have your cameras on, that would be greatly appreciated, because believe it or not, I will be looking at your mouth when you're pronouncing. And even if your microphone is off, I'll be able to see if you're actually pronouncing properly or not. So just a few introductions. I'm not going to mention any names, but sometimes people say, I know Spanish people. So this is the deal. I know very few Spanish people, because a Spanish person means that they're from Spain. I will one day, if you guys would like, take a few minutes and explain to you what the difference is between Hispanic, Latino, Spanish, immigrant, migrant. They're not all necessarily the same. And some people actually get offended if they're called the wrong thing. So that's just, and I forgot a very important one that just kind of been used now more, Latinx. Have you guys heard that term?
Yeah.
So it's been used a lot more now. So we can discuss that. Having said that, for now, hold on to this in the back pocket. If you see a group of Spanish speakers standing over there, you can refer to them as Latino, Latinx, or Hispanic. Those are the three main ones. The likelihood that they are Spanish, very, very slim, because there are not that many people from Spain here, at least around in our area, New Jersey. That's one. The other one, can you guys see the screen with the map?
Sí.
Okay, so this map over here shows you pretty much the main Latin American or Spanish speaking countries around the world. Now you will see that Brazil is listed there. Brazil is not a Spanish speaking country. They speak Portuguese in Brazil. Having said that, if you speak Spanish well, you will be able to understand a large portion of French, Portuguese, and Italian. Literally have somebody, so like once you get better at Spanish, if you are talking to somebody who speaks only Portuguese and you tell them just, speak slowly, just you'll be able to pick up a lot. Literally, I just in our trip, when we went to Israel, we had one of our brothers there in Christ that he is from Brazil, and he spoke directly in Portuguese, and I was speaking directly in Spanish, and we were able to pretty much have a conversation. So there's a lot of that's really good to know, and especially in law enforcement, depending where you are. I do know, like in Newark, there are a lot of Portuguese speaking individuals. So all these areas here, if you look also at the bottom, let me get my little marker here. They also in these places here in these areas, Spanish is not spoken there as well either. It's also, this area is more there's even French in there due to the invasions and the colonizations and all the other stuff that happened. Sometimes if you look here, I can't even find where in the world is Puerto Rico. Yeah, Puerto Rico's not in the map. That's funny. But Puerto Rico will be here somewhere. There's also a history that has to do with Puerto Rico as to what in the world Puerto Rico is. That's an important one. Again, not to get into the historical, but you have to understand, this is a true story that happened to me. I was driving to Canada, and as I was gonna cross through the divider or whatever it is, the border. As I was gonna cross the border patrol said, "Sir, can I please see your ID?" So I give them, during this time, this is prior to 9/11. So I gave them my birth certificate and I gave them my driver's license. And the guy, young guy, glasses, he looks at me all like rough and tough, and he says, "I need your green card." I looked at him like, "What?" It's like, "Yes, sir, I need your green card." I'm like, "Say it, sir, I'm Puerto Rican." "I don't care if you're Puerto Rican." I'm like, "Okay. Well, sir, according to," and I had to go into a history lesson to explain that if you're a Puerto Rican, even if you don't speak a word of English, you are an American citizen.
A lot of people don't know that.
Extremely important to understand.
A lot of people don't know that.
So that's it. That's one section. Here we have Dominican Republic on the right here, where I'm marking there. The left, that's Haiti. Again, not to get too much into the historical aspect of it, but Dominican Republic has gone through so much turmoil throughout the years that at a given time, it pretty much almost like stopped existing. And Haiti was gonna pretty much be taking over. There was French and Spaniards and just a whole mess. And to this day, there's still a lot of friction between the people that live there. I think Cuba, pretty much everybody has an idea what happens there. Notice the color here of Belize as well. Also, not Spanish is not necessarily the main language there. As you can see over here on the bottom, Portugal as well, nor France. Okay, but in Spain, Spanish is spoken. Now, as I was talking to Wojo this morning, he was saying that he has a friend who's from Spain, and he heard somebody from, moved to New Jersey and was speaking to somebody in Spanish, and that he heard so many words that he did not know. That is very common. And just as a comparison, imagine if you were to go to England, you're gonna see a lot of accents and a lot of words. Forget it, Canada. For soda, you say pop, right? Like it's not that big of a deal, but when you think about it, it's a totally different word. Like there's no way for you to know that. So you will see that in Spanish a lot. And depending on the people that you are interacting with, you're gonna have to ask questions. And sometimes, I'm not gonna say dumb it down, but you're gonna have to try to go to the word that is common everywhere. Okay? So that is that. Let's continue on. This I didn't tell you. If you have any questions, please ask them. Don't wait till the end, ever, so we can just always be where we need to be. All right. So repeat after me. Now, I'm going to go backwards. Spanish is a beautiful language. So is Portuguese, and Italian and French. They're called Romance languages. I'll tell you a little something about love. If you decide to fall in love with somebody who is Spanish speaking, you do not say I love you to them until the time comes. We have a precursor to I love you. In English, that doesn't exist. And you may learn that the hard way, because you just say I love you, and it's funny in English, I love ice cream. In Spanish, you don't really say I love ice cream. It's not the same connotation. So in Spanish, if you say, and I'm going to type it here so you guys can see it. If you say the phrase for I love you would be te quiero, and it is spelled like this. I'm going to put everything in capital so you guys can see it better. Te quiero, that's how you say I love you, number one. Okay? And then like, I love you, I want to marry you and spend the rest of my life with you. Te amo. Or I love you, mom. Te amo. Okay? So that's the level where we stand. Now, in Spanish, something easy and beautiful about it is that the way you say it, the way you see it is the way you say it. And let me see if I can, hold on. I'll go back here to show you something. Important that I just did. I'll just type it again and I'll show you. This is something that's going to come up, and it may cause a little bit of confusion at a given time. And I don't want to get too technical, but I will mention the actual word here. There is something called diptongo. This is a grammatical term. You don't have to know it, but you will have to know what I'm going to explain next. And why, and this is going to help you understand why it is that sometimes if you're reading Spanish, you get confused. When do I mention the I, the you, the... So there's something called a diptongo, okay? And then there's something called an hiato, okay? So an hiato is a combination of any of this, okay, no, any of these three vowels. And a diptongo is a combination of any other combination of vowels, okay? So they could have I, you. So you know what? Let me erase this one because it's actually an exception. So it's not going to help my point. So for example, if I have here the word abuela, right? And then I have here the word something that you don't do in English, that you do in Spanish. So one important aspect of today's lesson is pronunciation, okay? So make sure you ask all the questions that you have. If you look at the first word, abuela, notice something. First of all, in English, when I'm speaking, my mouth is almost a round face. In order to keep the sound within your mouth, you kind of have to have your face like straight down and have almost like a round area, I guess, that you create in your mouth to be able to hold, you see, like to hold the sound, right? In Spanish, no, sir. In Spanish, all you do is you open your mouth and you let the sounds go out. So when you, for example, when you look at, let me write this down here because this is going to come up very shortly in the next page, but I'm going to write it now. So look at how simple to say the vowels. In Spanish, you're going to open your mouth and you're going to let it come out. So the letter A, notice how it is in English. A, like what? In Spanish, letter A. Ah. Let me see you.
Ah. Ah.
So you literally open your mouth. There is no roundness and the sound totally comes out. If you hold the sound in, you're saying it wrong. And I'll give you a perfect example of what wrong sounds like. So let's do the 5 letters and then I'll give you an example. A.
Eh.
Go ahead. A.
Eh.
Muy bien. I.
I.
O.
O.
Now notice the same round, oh, but the sound is projected out. Okay, and the last one, ooh.
Ooh.
Now,
Ooh.
check this out, and I'm sure you probably have heard this word pronounced wrong. To read this word in Spanish, you are not going to prolong the O. I'll show, you know what? I'll write another one that you probably have heard this one. When somebody's learning how to speak Spanish, they will say, yo hablo English, right? Extending the sounds. You don't extend the sounds. So you would say hablo. In Spanish, we also have the beauty of having syllables. So when you learn, and we'll go through this more as the words go by, but you can actually divide words. Hablo. So you actually break, let me get the marker here so I can write it down for you so you can see it. You could actually take the word here and you could break it in half. Hablo. Todo. But you don't prolong the sound. Again, hablo. Repitan, hablo.
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 And the next word is this one. Now that you're going to know how to say it properly. Todo.
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 Perfect. The sound just comes out. Done. You're not holding it. And that's going to help people to understand you better. And it's going to also help you not to sound like you're pronouncing words wrong. Now, let's go back to this bottom section here, which is really important. So the first one, diptongo. So here, this is an example of a diptongo. The U and the E together. That's a diptongo. Okay? Now, what is the deal with this diptongo word? In English, it's actually called diphthong. In case you wanted to know that. But the deal is this, that when you have them together, they might feel a little strange to pronounce them. But each vowel is going to get its own sound. So you have the word there, A-B-U-E-L-A, and to pronounce it, you're going to have to do what we just did for the A-I-O-U. You're going to have to open your mouth. A, bu, e, la. And then, if you were to clap it, you would actually, with the diphthong, you keep the letters together. So you have to learn to roll it off your tongue. So it would sound, and I'm going to divide it so you could actually see it, because this is very, very important as you're speaking for pronunciation. And that's one goal, one main goal for me today, for today's class, is that pronunciation. So, and then the division comes here. Bue. You have to pronounce both. Abuela. So, repitan. Abuela.
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 Muy bien. Próxima palabra. Diptongo. Se separa. Viuda.
Viuda.
Viuda, which means widow. One important thing, I forgot to tell you two important things. Depending on your level and how fast you want to learn, if you would like, I always encourage my students to keep a little journal. And in the journal, every day, you write sentences in Spanish. You might not be able to do that now, but as we get going, okay? You could look up a verb and you could conjugate it. And then what you do is you let me see it and I'll correct it. That is very, very helpful for you, for students to learn a lot faster. So I just wanted to mention that to you. So here we go. So you have here viuda, and I'm going to give you another example. I'm not going to delete this one yet. The next example is the second word. This is one that's a little harder sometimes for people that are learning Spanish to pronounce. But if you understand what I just said to you about pronouncing every vowel, you're not going to have a hard time because you're going to pronounce every single one. Now, A, E, O are considered strong vowels. What does that mean? You can yell, you can scream with those three. If you try to scream with I or you, you're going to have a hard time because your mouth is not going to allow you to. The sound is not going to project. But you could literally open very easily. Ah, oh, eh. It just comes right out. So when you have a word, I'm going to give you a hard one. Because this one actually has two hiatos. So the section here in the bottom here, that is one hiato, un hiato, otro hiato, dos hiatos. ¿Cómo dividimos? Separamos el hiato. Separamos el hiato. Separamos el hiato. So why is this important? When you're going to say a word, if you're reading a document, if you're saying something, you want to make sure that you at least know how to pronounce the words properly. So this word is actually hard, but easy. It's hard for the I because in English, we see words that sometimes, for somebody who's learning English, make absolutely no sense. For example, season. 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 Right? We could just keep going. It's like you see it. What in the world? How do you spell it? How do you, right? So at least, I mean, the last one, see, son, right? It's just, right? In Spanish, we don't have this problem because you actually pronounce everything. So a word like season in English is confusing. In Spanish, is not. So when you see A, E, O together, just remember that you're going to separate them. Okay? Now, in this particular word, I gave you a little something here. Not sure if you caught it, but I'm gonna... This is probably going to be the most grammatical class that we have because I'm going to give it to you all at once, just so you have it with you. So you may have to review this video. You see that little line there on top? That little line in Spanish, depending what country you come from, it will be called acento, which would be an accent, right? But the situation is all words have acentos. They all have accents. But not all words have that little line. That line is actually called tilde. Repeat after me. Tilde.
Tilde.
Muy bien. Okay. So that means that when you're going to pronounce, you're going to put the stress on that particular syllable. So in this particular word, the stress is going to fall on that letter E right there. So you're not, you see how we have 4 syllables? You're not going to put the stress in the first syllable, or the third, or the fourth. You're going to put it on the second one. So it would be, and watch my mouth. A, E, re, o.
A, re, e, ro.
A, re, I, o.
So you're going to say the letter R in the middle of the sentence sounds just like if we were to say, and this is something that you must remember because you're going to see, you're going to hear me say this over and over. So you have to remember the word in English. Matter.
Matter.
Why does that word matter? Because of the sound you're making in the middle. So watch my mouth. Matter. You feel that little R, right? Error. That's the same one you're going to actually use to pronounce this word. Pero. Same thing with your mouth.
Pero.
Muy bien. Pero.
Pero.
Matter, pero. And the one that we just said, ae, same R. Aéreo. Aéreo.
Aéreo.
Aéreo.
Excellent. All right, you guys are done. Graduated. All right, so do you understand the difference between a diphthong and a hiatus? Diphthongo, keep together. Hiatus, you separate them. It just helps you when you're pronouncing, when you're reading something, when you're reading a document. And the accents, all that stuff, as we go along, you're going to see it, you're going to pick it up. So you don't have to worry about all that kind of stuff. And that helps us with everything else we're going to do next. So here we go. So repeat after me. Again, you have to have your mouth open for everything that we're going to say. We're going to talk about the alphabet shortly, but there are some exceptions, and I'm going to circle some of them as we go for you to just learn them and know them. And this is one right over here, the Q and the U, okay? In this particular, we have a U and we have an E, so we will say, oh, that's a diphthongo. So you're going to pronounce both of them together. No, that is an exception. When you see the word what in Spanish is que, okay? So that's it. Just know that that is que, that you combine the sound together. And you're also going to have it for Q-U-I. Those are the only two exceptions when we're using the Q. Q-U-I and Q-U-E. So repeat after me. ¿Qué es eso?
¿Qué es eso?
Eso es vino.
Eso es vino.
Eso es vino.
Now, I heard you both say something interesting, and I almost said it myself, and that's the pronunciation for the letter V in Spanish. Some news for you. There is no difference in Spanish between the sound V and B. Does that create a problem? Absolutely. So you will have somebody whose name is Victor. In English, you say Victor. In Spanish, Victor. It doesn't really matter how you say it. So why does that create a problem? Because now you imagine you're learning Spanish, and we often have people who learn Spanish spell better than natives because you understand the difference between the V and the B. So you memorize it with the sound. In Spanish, vino, bueno, bien, doesn't really matter the sound, but the spelling does. So I suggest that when you're going to say it, just know it doesn't matter how you say it. But if you want to process it in your head with the difference of the English language, it may actually help you in the long run to make sure that you know how to spell it properly. All right, then next. Repitan. Yo quiero un vaso de vino.
Yo quiero un vaso de vino.
Yo quiero un vaso de vino.
Muy bien. Now, let's look at this letter here. How do you pronounce this letter? We got to be careful we don't get caught up with Italian.
E.
D, E, E, D,
E.
no. Muy bien. All right. So I think we're good. Let's continue on, and we're going to move a lot faster. So you read all that. Now, like I had mentioned, I am purposely sharing this with you. If you see something that you need, take a picture of it. Take a screenshot. That will help you, whether you do it with your phone or your laptop, if you want to, or just tell me and I'll take pictures. I'll send them to you. Whatever, I can just email you guys. Up to you. All right. So we're going to do this. It gives you an English sound. We're going to do it a little fast. Do your best to look at my mouth and make sure you're opening up and you're pronouncing properly, because we're not going to take forever doing this. But you may have to watch the video later and watch it a few times just to make sure you get it right. Okay, here we go. A.
A.
Ana.
Ana.
I.
I.
Jaime.
Jaime.
Au.
Au.
Augusto.
Augusto.
B.
B.
Beatriz.
Beatriz.
C.
C.
Now look at the rule. Before E or I, this is the only time you're going to pronounce it like that. Okay? So in case, for those of you that don't like grammar rules, I see a few looks. So let me just write this for you here just in case. So if you have this or this, or that is going to sound ka, ko, ku.
Ka, ko, ku.
But if you have CE or CI, it's going to sound like I just pronounced it. C. We're good?
Sí.
Sí.
All right. Let's clear this up. Ka.
Ka,
Ca,
Carlos.
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 Che.
Che.
Che,
It has no E in Spanish, but that's how it sounds, like as if it had an E at the end. Archibaldo.
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 Muy bien. De.
De,
David.
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 E.
E.
E,
Elena.
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 E.
E,
Reinaldo.
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 Now, any word in Spanish that starts with the letter R is going to have the R sound.
You don't want me to try that.
Listen, you're going to prove your family wrong and you're going to learn it. So I'm going to do my best to teach you how to do it. It's probably not going to happen right now, but just on your own, try to do this, okay? It's almost like whistling. You just have to practice, practice, practice. I'll tell you how I got my kids to do it. My daughter, she was a lot easier. My son, he struggled. And one time we were at the pool and he was learning how to swim. And I told him, if you swim for, I told him, if you can roll your tongue. No, he wanted a toy. That's what it was. He wanted a toy. I said, if you can roll your tongue and make the art, we'll go to Walmart right now. I'll get you the toy. And the boy took like an hour. He just kept on his own. So here we go. Let me stop sharing so you can see my mouth. Here we go. So first thing you're gonna do, you're gonna take your tongue and you're gonna put it right behind your teeth on the top. So right now what we have is this. We have the top of your mouth and we have the tongue touching just like that. So this is my teeth here. This is my tongue. Tongue is touching right there. Mm-hmm. What's going to happen next is you're going to have wind that you're going to use from your mouth is going to blow through. And what is causing the R sound? That your tongue is doing this because of the air. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
If you understand the logic behind it, that's all you have to try to do. So you put it behind, and then you're going to try to blow over the tongue. Dad, you almost had it.
Almost.
It just, when you did it, your tongue kind of came down a little bit between your teeth. So you want to just kind of hold it and tongue above. And let me see if I can do a little drawing here, just so, because all you have to understand is the logic behind it, nothing more, nothing less. And so any word that starts with the R is going to have that sound. Now, if you cannot pronounce the sound for now, that's okay. But still do your best. Don't just, give up and give the pero sound. Just say however it comes out.
Pero.
So the word we were reading here was Reinaldo. Reinaldo.
So yeah, that's going to take some work.
Yes, it is going to take work. But you see that sound that you did, Reinaldo, even with that English sound, Reinaldo, that is still taking some sort of effort because you're actually giving the letter value. Okay. Now, you're only going to do that when the word begins with R or when you have the double R in the middle of the word somewhere. Like perro is in the middle. But if you have, I'll write it here. If you have this, pero, which is but, like in the middle of the sentence, but where are you going? Or if you have perro, pero, oh. You guys can work on that practice. And we'll go from there. So let's continue on. Next.
Pero.
Repitan
El
Fernando.
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 Muy bien. That sounds excellent. Okay. Eu. Eugenio.
Eugenio.
Muy bien. Federico.
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 Now remember, in the middle, simple matter. So it would be rico, simple R.
Rico.
Federico.
Rico.
Muy bien. Okay. So you have to study these portions like before E or I, so you know when to use it. But we're just going to keep repeating. Geofredo.
Geofredo.
Now that would be on hiato, right? We have the two strong vowels, so you pronounce them both strong. Geofredo.
Geofredo.
Gregorio.
Gregorio.
Excelente. H has no sound in Spanish. So my name is not Hector. My name is Hector. Literally could delete the H from my name. It literally is a decoration. Hugo.
Hugo.
Isabel.
Isabel.
The letter J is pronounced. Oh, let me tell you how to pronounce the letter. Oh, let's go back. I didn't tell you the sounds. Letter G. He.
He.
The letter H. It sounds weird when you pronounce the letters in Spanish because you have to give it a sound. So you're actually adding vowels to be able to make the sound. So the next letter, this one is actually pronounced H.
H.
That's the like if you're telling somebody to spell it and write it, that's what you would say.
H.
The next one is E.
E.
The next one is, again, with the sound, this is how you pronounce it, J.
J.
Jose.
Jose.
Kenya.
Kenya.
So you have IA, right? So that one's a diphthongo. You're going to say it a little faster, but Kenya.
Kenya.
Muy bien. Excellent. All right. Lucas.
Lucas.
Letter sound. I'm going to write them down to help you guys. L.
L.
This one. Edge.
Edge.
That sound, you don't have it in English. Okay? That's an actual letter. Okay? So the word like Guillermo.
Guillermo.
If you read the last name like Bonilla, you see the two L's, you don't say Guillermo. You say Guillermo. And you don't say Guillermo. Right? You just Guillermo.
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 M.
M.
María.
María.
Notice it, tiene el acento. María.
María.
N.
N.
Nicolás.
Nicolás.
Now this one. Ña. That's the sound. It is pronounced ñ, but you actually have to say the sound in order to pronounce the letter. Ñ.
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 So, España.
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 Muy bien. O,
Bolivia.
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 Now the next two, hoy and hoy, same pronunciation. Okay. Moisés.
Moisés.
P,
Pe-
Pedro.
Pedro.
It's pronounced this line means sound, okay? It's the sound that it makes. This is how the letter is pronounced. Q.
Q.
But in this particular example, like I shared earlier, we have QUI, right? Like quien that we did earlier. You keep it together. That's the sound. So you're going to say Quentin.
Quentin.
Oh, I didn't see the accent. I'm sorry. Quintin.
Quintin.
You see that little accent there, la tilde? Quintin. Okay. Ere.
Ere.
Rosa.
Rosa.
Bien. R.
R.
Inglaterra.
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 Muy bien. S.
S.
Samuel.
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 T.
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 Tomás.
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 U.
U.
Urbano.
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 Muy bien. Middle R, right? Simple. Urbano. Excellent.
Urbano.
Almost done. Here we go. Wa.
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 Walterio.
Walterio.
We.
We.
Manuela.
Manuela.
Now, this is interesting to pronounce. You say V.
V.
That's the letter. Some people actually say this. They call it this. B corta or B chica. That's important. If you're taking a report and somebody's giving you their name, right? You want to know that. If they tell you, it depends what country they come from. Okay. Vicente.
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 Washington.
Washington.
You see the difference? Washington. Washington. Just all out. Just let it all out.
Ton.
X.
X.
Maximiliano.
Maximiliano.
Muy bien. Diptongo. Say it kind of little fast in there. Muy bien. Nueva York.
Nueva York.
Nueva York.
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 So you just let the sound of the K come out. That word is not in Spanish, right? But you just say it, right? And the last one. Oh, this one is pronounced Y.
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 So it means Greek I. That's actually what it stands for.
Y.
And the last one, Zeta.
Zeta.
Zacarías.
Zacarias.
That whole Z in English, you don't have to do that in Spanish, which again creates another problem. If you're saying Zacarías with a Z, or if you're saying Zacarías with an S. So, good to know. Questions, or we're doing good so far?
Good.
Excellent. All right, so don't forget this, what I told you earlier. Just as in English, Q is always joined with the letter U, right? The letter U is silent, like que and quien that we did before. Like it says there, don't worry about your R's. Practice, it'll come to you. But don't be lazy by not trying. That's the only thing you can do. You have to make sure you try. And you guys can read this later. We're just gonna look over the words. We'll just, you know what? I'll just show you. You can take a picture of it and you can practice this. These are incomplete sentences that give you some information that you'll be able to know when to use the question words, the famous W's, right, in English. So you go to Mexico, Spain, any other place, if you say, where? It will be donde. Repitan, donde?
¿Dónde?
¿Dónde?
Is the bus stop. Say, let's look down. Here are all the words. So let's repeat them. ¿Dónde?
¿Dónde?
¿Qué?
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 What? ¿Quién?
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 Which is who. ¿Por qué?
¿Por qué?
Means why. Now, let me show you something really quickly in case you come across this if you're reading something. This word here means because. When you separate por qué, you put the accent on the E, you're asking a question. That's important because you're going to see that in the middle of sentences. ¿Cuándo?
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 ¿Cómo?
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 ¿Cuánto?
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 Muy bien. So let's stop sharing that. And then let's move on to the other section of the book. How are we doing so far?
Good.
Muy bien.
Muy bien. So when I say ¿cómo les va? That means how's it going? You could say bien. There's a famous phrase, así, así, which means so.
Sí.
Muy bien, very good. Mal. Now, to pronounce a word like mal, M-A-L, you have to make sure you hold that sound. Mal.
Mal.
Muy bien. All right, so we're going to fly through this. Okay. Repitan. ¿Cómo te llamas?
¿Cómo te
¿Cómo
llamas?
te llamas?
Me llamo Carlos.
Me llamo
Me llamo
Carlos.
Carlos.
Un muchacho se llama Carlos.
Un muchacho,
Un muchacho
se
me
llama
llamo
Carlos.
Carlos.
Okay. Muchacho,
Muchacho.
guy, a guy. If it's a girl or a gal, muchacha, it would end with the letter A. So don't forget that. O, male, A, female. We are not arguing about genders or none of that stuff. That's how I learned to teach the language, okay? Just in case. Has nothing to do with that. Help me out here, people. Here we go. So, you meet somebody for the first time. ¿Cómo te llamas?
¿Cómo te llamas?
¿Cómo te llamas?
Make sure you use the A sound. Make sure you could hear the A. ¿Cómo te llamas?
¿Cómo te llamas?
And
¿Cómo
let's
te
make sure we can
llamas?
hear the S.
¿Cómo
Now,
te llamas?
another important, because again, today the focus is on pronunciation. One important thing is, depending what country you come from, in some countries, the S's are often omitted. They're often skipped. You might not hear them. But it's funny because if the person writes, they will write them. They just won't say them. That has to do with the accent and the way that people speak. So just in case. Good to know. We're going to skip that. Here we go. So let's do this together. We're going to do it together. Let me show. Oh, I'm over here talking, thinking you guys can see. And I'm not sharing. That's great. Here we go. Repitan. ¿Cómo se llama la muchacha?
¿Cómo se
¿Cómo
llama
se llama la muchacha?
Se llama Rosa.
Se llama
Se
Rosa.
llama Rosa.
¿Cómo se llama la señorita?
¿Cómo se
¿Cómo se llama la señorita?
Se llama señorita Luisa.
Se llama
Se llama
señorita
señorita Luisa.
Oh, what did I do there? I'm using two keyboards. El muchacho se llama Arturo.
El muchacho,
El muchacho
se
se
llama
llama Arturo.
Así que si están trabajando, you're at work, and somebody says, Chris, ¿cómo se llama el muchacho? El muchacho se llama Pedro. Okay. Chris, ¿cómo se llama la muchacha? La muchacha se llama Lucía. Good.
Sí.
Piece of cake. Okay. Repitan después de mí. ¿Cómo estás?
¿Cómo estás?
¿Cómo estás?
Buenos días.
Buenos días.
Buenos días.
Me llamo Beto.
Me llamo Beto.
This is how are you?
Eh,
Good morning. My name is Beto. ¿Cómo te llamas? Repitan.
¿Cómo te llamas?
What's your
Buenas noches, papi.
Buenas noches, papi.
That was Detective Concepcion.
Yes, so it's interesting you say that, because in some countries that could be offensive for a male to call another male papi. However, in, I would say, more Central America, it has now become almost accepted as a term of endearment from a friend to a friend. Like in Puerto Rico, you hear people, hey, ¿qué pasa, papi? And in law enforcement and even owning a business, you may actually say, hey, papi, dímelo, or, tell me what's up, just as a term of friendship and value. So nothing offensive. All right. Repitan, ¿cómo se llama el muchacho?
¿Cómo se llama el muchacho?
That would be, what's the guy's name? We're almost done. Muy bien, gracias.
Muy bien, gracias.
Very well. Thank you. Buenas tardes.
Buenas
Buenas tardes.
Good afternoon. Oh, I wrote it in Spanish.
Buenas tardes.
Hola.
Hello.
Hola.
Hola.
Now, did you notice here this upside down exclamation point and another upside down question mark? That's done in Spanish. That's why you see me switching with the keyboard, because I have to get that, or to get the accents, or to get the ñ. You have to do that. So listen, this lesson number 1 is just a piece of cake. You have to look. I already gave you all the translations. You have to look in here. You have to fill them in. Right? And you could do that. We did every single vocabulary here, so you can do this as well. This is just to practice your punctuation. Practice writing it, right? So you could do that section. And then here, just when you're talking, how to answer to each other, depending on the phrases that you receive. Just write the answers there. Once you guys complete this page, these are just all, you will then pass to this section. Not sure if you guys got to see this, but this is your first official book, okay? It's like when kids are learning, you get a little book, and in the book, you're supposed to be able to read. So, the first section says, and we're going to read this and we're going to finish for today. La muchacha se llama Carlota.
La muchacha,
La muchacha se
Carlota.
llama Carlota.
Bien. La profesora.
La profesora.
¿Cómo estás, Carlota?
¿Cómo estás,
¿Cómo
Carlota?
estás, Carlota?
Carlota. Estoy muy bien, gracias.
Estoy muy bien.
Estoy muy bien, gracias.
¿Cómo estás, Benito?
¿Cómo estás?
¿Cómo estás, Benito?
Estoy muy mal, muy mal.
Estoy muy mal.
Estoy muy mal, muy mal.
El muchacho se llama Benito.
El muchacho,
El muchacho se llama Bonito.
B.
B.
Benito.
Benito. Bonito with an O means handsome. Or something that's nice. And we're going to stop here for today. Vamos a terminar acá. So guys, listen, I gave you a lot of information today. This is not the most exciting thing to learn all about all at once, but I can't even tell you how many different topics we covered grammatically, and with cultural, geographical, and so forth. So next time we meet, okay, make sure you have this section completed. You should technically be able to do lección 1, 2, y 3. Piece of cake. That's just basic. And then the first unit actually begins. So in your book, the first unit actually begins on page 19. So what we're gonna do is this. You are responsible. Hold on, 19. No, not yet. Oh, no, page 24. I want you to go through the whole lección 1, 2, 3. Okay? Go over all of it, review it, send any questions that you have. And what we're going to do is, I actually think I might even end up recording a little video and I'll just share it with you guys just to kind of go over this because it's pretty self-explanatory and basic. And when we get to actually the first unit, then you're going to be hands-on. So starting next week, when we have class, we are not going to spend all this time talking about grammar and all these different things. But I need you to remember what an hiato is, what a diptongo is. I need you to remember how to pronounce the words, what an accent is. I need you to remember how the words break up into syllables. And I need you to make sure that you review the letters and the sounds. So if you see the word hola, you don't say hola, right? Because we know that the H has no sound. All right. So thank you so much for joining and caring, and hopefully
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Gracias, Hector.
Nada.
Buenas noches.
Buenas noches. Que tengan un bonito día. Bendiciones.